Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. So today on this Sending Explain, we'll be doing a really great movie that came out, around November, and I've been, hearing the buzz about this movie all over social media. The movie is called The Menu, and it's starring Anya Taylor Joy and Ralph Fiennes. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. So firstly, when I just saw the cover, I said, I love Anya's bangs. I love Anya's red bangs, but they say it's about this couple that visits this exclusive island, and in this island they now get to dine in a very exclusive restaurant. And this restaurant, while they were dining, there's surprises there, and there's probably this shocking twist, of course. But I honestly thought, what are they gonna go to cannibalism? I was like, for sure, if there's a shocking thing, the most shocking thing you can do, while eating, is just eat another human being. But there are movies that did this. I said to myself, this is tricky because Fresh did it, and Fresh took on a romantic thriller tone to it, and I was just like worried, how are they gonna pull this off? Is it gonna be tedious? I mean, there's Ralph Fiennes, and I really like the guy, but I was just really worried about it. So, but without wasting any time, let's dive into the world of the mysterious island and the mysterious restaurant. Without wasting any time, let's get right to it.
Right off the bat, we meet a couple, but it's not really a couple. It's Tyler and Margot, and Margot is a sex worker that's been hired by Tyler to go on this island and go on a date with him on this restaurant. And then they get there, and it's like it looks so desolate, like it is crazy. But then they're given a tour of the place and the facility by this Chinese woman. And inside, it looks really great. We can see all of these, chef helpers, creating a dish. She's being assigned a chair because actually it was meant to be Tyler's girlfriend here, but then Tyler, paid him to actually attend. And yes, they're dining in this restaurant, and it's just like it looks great. It looks like it's top notch. You can see the workers working hard to create a masterpiece for Slowick. And so now they're being told the rules, like don't photograph all these dishes. And then starter is being served, and it's like this weird thing, and I think it's called cheese boucher or something. And then they eat that and they criticize on it. The food critics, they criticize. And then the second course is being served, and it's like this really great dish with like rocks in it, like real rocks. And then he announces that he makes this really grand speech about what they're gonna eat. And it makes Tyler cry because he actually said, like, don't eat, savor and relish and taste. So here's the dish. But then the critics are just saying, this is good and whatever. They're discussing it, the food critics. And they're really feeling it, and they're really happy that they're here. And we can see another couple here, dining, and it's mostly rich people here. And so we meet the funding boys, and they're listening to him telling another speech about them not having. And he relays the history of how bread is made through centuries and introduces the breadless bread plate. And they laugh about it. It's like a joke to them. It's like they can't believe it. But then they get so hungry they actually ask for bread, and request is denied. The night goes on, the wine keeps getting better and better, and then he makes a speech about Taco Tuesday and how his mom and his father, who used to abuse him, or his mom's boyfriend, and then he actually defended himself by stabbing him in the neck, in the chest with the scissors. And then that's the dish actually. And now the flatbreads, they actually have their secrets, like things that they've done in the past that were wrong. They are printed on the flatbreads. And then Tyler, the food blogger, actually has just pictures of him taking pictures of the dishes, which wasn't allowed beforehand when they started having this experience. And it just makes him very uncomfortable. He contemplates going to the chef, asking for forgiveness and whatnot. But then the the money guys, the funders, they actually have evidence of them embezzling cash. And now they're asking what's going on here. How would have they've gotten those files in their possession? And Tyler and his dates, they have a fight, and the date goes to the bathroom, but the chef is asking, why don't you like my food? And she doesn't really answer, and she doesn't really answer why she's not eating. And then she just asks him to move out of his way, and she's very rude. And then as the night goes by, people are like starting to get like concerned about the chef. But then he introduces the mess, the next dish, and has one of his employees tells him that you'll never be good as him. And then after that, the employee actually sticks a gun in his mouth and actually shoots himself. And then there's the next dish, the mess that you make in your life, being a chef, messing everything up, your relationships and everything. It just represents that. And then this man is trying to like asking them to let him out, and then they have a fight, and then they actually chop his finger off. So there's no getting out of this. And then the chef calls the now we know sex worker, and then ask him like, you don't belong here and everything. And then actually confesses why they're all here, and says the critics take the fun out of eating, and the funders, they actually don't fund restaurants that well, so staff not getting paid. So now the angel investor is then killed in front of their eyes, to prove a point. He calls Margot into his office, and then they have a conversation, and then he actually says, has she made a decision to be with the the takers or the givers? The takers being the staff, the takers being the diners, and the givers being the staff. And then they have a conversation. Actually points out that he knows that she's a sex worker. And then she asks her like, do you enjoy rendering a service? And she's like, yes, I used to. And then the same question is asked at him, and then he actually says, I used to. I haven't had the desire to cook for anyone in a very, very long time. So this is a very critical moment in this conversation. And then they go outside, and then the woman there stabs him in the leg because of sexual advances that are being made at work, and the humiliation of it, and they get washed at. And then they tell the guys that they get to run and escape, and then if they're being caught, they're being brought back. And then men's folly is being served, and the chef is like anxiously waiting, but then they love her dish. And then they get back. He confronts Tyler. He says, you're a fanboy and everything. And you knew that you paying her to be in this restaurant, you knew that people are going to die after eating the meal. And then this upsets Margot. And then he lodges at him, and, physically. And then after that, Tyler's being promoted to chef, and he's given a t-shirt, and then, he's given an opportunity to make a dish. But then it is a mess. And, she goes and he kills himself. And then the movie star asks, like, why am I here? It's like, you made a bad movie. You're no longer providing a service for anyone because you were just so bad in it. And then Margot is sent to, retrieve a barrel, and then she starts stripping around because she knows like they're all gonna die after the meal. And then she goes into the chef's cottage, and then this Chinese lady finds her, and they have a duel, and they fight, and then she's able to kill her at the end. And then discovers a picture of the chef in like a hamburger joint, being happy flipping hamburgers. And then he calls for help on the radio, and then gets back. And when he gets back, everybody's just still so anxious, but then it's like they've accepted their fate that they're gonna die. The help gets here, but things don't really work out. Movies are how they are. And then the movie guy is like, oh, you know me, and then he sends like a help us note. And then the guard actually starts waving his gun around, but then it's sorted. And then the chef tells Margot that you're not a giver, you're a taker. And then she thinks for a second, like, what can I do? And then she claps her hands, and then everyone pays attention to her. And then she tells the chef that I don't like your food, and then she actually says like, I'm even starving. That's the worst part. And then the chef gets a little bit closer to hear what she's saying, and then she asks him like, what would you like to eat? And then the Margot says a hamburger. And then it's like it's almost as if he's like turning him on, like making advances as a sex worker to say, you can't do this for me. And then he does the hamburger, and he's very joyful at it. It's almost like he's smiling. Remember, he says he's never had the desire to cook for anyone in a long time, and there he is making a hamburger for her. And then, she takes a bite of this hamburger, like the sex worker that she is. She's able to pretend as if it's nice, and, gives this smile, and then like a satisfied customer. And then she says she would like to have it to go. She's been given a bag, like a to go bag. And then she turns and she looks at the crowd, and the woman encourages her to go. And everybody left there. They just sat, and it's almost like they've accepted their fate. And then he announces that he's gonna have this last dish, and it's like a dessert. And we can see them being put like with marshmallows, and yes, and crackers on the floor everywhere. And then it's a masterpiece, guys. And then they put like chocolate hats almost. And then we can see Margot actually escaped because of that. And then as she's escaping, with a boat, the chef just lights up the the crackers, like the biscuits, like the grinded biscuits, on fire, and everybody seemed to be burning and burning and burning. And yeah, and that's just like literally how it ends for them. And then we can see Margot looking onwards and seeing the explosion, and then the place is just up in flames. And then we can see this is the name of the dish, and it consists of everything: marshmallow, chocolate, and staff and chef and diners. So it was at this moment that the chef honestly enjoyed cooking. Like, it wasn't so much pressure, it was just flipping burgers, but he was good at what he did, and he actually enjoyed it. That's why Margot was able to take him back to a place where he enjoyed making a dish. And we understand that Margot, as a sex worker, was able to earn her freedom because he was able to seduce him to the idea of cooking just for pleasure. And, he brought him back to a place where he cooked for pleasure. So when he asked him to make the cheeseburger, he said, "I'll make you a cheeseburger that's cheap, but the one that your parents couldn't afford." It's like telling a woman, like, "I will satisfy you like no man ever could." So, it has some sexual reference. And then Tyler was just a food blogger who thought he knew something about food but didn't. But the others were punished because they took the joy out of eating through critics, boasting, and incorrect funding.
So yeah, I think that was my ending explain of the movie. Number one, yep, really liked it. You know, yeah, good work, good going. Just not sure about the ending, but honestly, I think I really liked it. Yeah, so this is 2023. I'm still back on the channel. I'd like to thank everybody that's been watching the channel, anybody that's been commenting, and all the people that actually subscribed. It means a lot. And yeah, I will still be giving you, there's a whole lot of movies that are coming up in 2023. A Knock in the Cabin, Infinity Pool, Scream 11. Just kidding. Okay, I'll get it right. But anyway, I'm just looking forward to like the horror genre, and I'd like to, say there were very honorable mentions, like the Glass Onion. It's a really great thriller, guys. I just really recommend people to watch it. But it's a straightforward thriller, and there's no need for me to be here explaining it. But they're just really great honorable mentions that really came out this year, if it did come out this year, if I'm right. But you know what, the horror genre is coming up with a lot of movies, and in one of the movies is going to be Nicolas Cage. He's coming back. You remember him from the movie Mandy? He really did it. He really made a great performance on Mandy, but also on, what's this? Willy's Wonderland, or whatever that movie was, of the animatronics and stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited for the horror genre. And you know what? This is Room for Rewinds, and you've been tuned in. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye. So if you like to see me explain a movie, or explain an ending, or just do a really fun recap or review, you can send it my way on Instagram and Facebook on Room for Rewinds.